Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
It's got a lot of power.
Come on, Greg. You're asking a guy whose team name is Pellet Envy. So obviously the answer you're going to get is no.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine. How's it going?
Charbono. It's all about the Charbono, dude. I just like being anywhere with Junior, Senior, and Diva.
Sounds like a whole other type of movie.
Wow. Yeah, really.
You could use it to fight off creeping marauders looking to take your steaks off your grills.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
How hot is Kelly Ripa in person?
Kelly Ripa is super hot. She's absolutely delicious.
Oh, yeah.
You could butter baste her and pint Twinkies with that girl. She's delish.
Well, to put it briefly, let's just say I went to school.
There's no Robert Porker who's in charge of pig meat out there.
Is it not correct to properly classify you as Harry Sue's pit bitch?
I was his pit bitch for 6 weeks. I have no shame. I was. Keep it hot, keep it clean, keep it lubricated.
Succulent fish. What?
This right here is the premier media outlet.
So did you see this one? Tiger Woods has gone ahead and checked into sex rehab. Hey, Tiger, guess what? Everybody's addicted to sex.
I'm shaking like a dog shitting peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
And we push into the second hour. This is the After Dark portion of the show. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. This is the Barbecue Central Radio Networks, which can be found off hours at thebbqcentralshow.com. thebbqcentralshow.com. I'm going to be having Tim Pattan on here in just a minute. 877-448-0433 is the number to get in touch with the show. You can also email if you want to, bbqcentralradio@gmail.com. Those are the two ways to get in touch with the show. Again, if you missed first hour, you're going to want to get that on download, whether it be through iTunes or whatever type of podcast host you get or you use. That should be available 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. You missed Darian Khosravi from Cosmos Q. You missed Kelly Strobel from Christie's Foundation. Christie's.org is the website there. So a packed first hour. The 4-segment free-for-all had a little something to be desired from what I understand. I was not given specific information on exactly what would happen, but look, here's the bottom line. The host, me, likes that segment, and whether you guys don't want to call in and win cool, succulent stuff, that's your problem. But that 4-segment free-for-all game show is staying whether you like it or not, baby. So there. It's my show. I'm going to do what I want, and I think it's good for the show. Speaking of what's good for the show, go to the hotline. Talk to our guest. He is the owner, creator of Petey River Swamp Sauce. He is a website of swampsauce.com, and he was the overall grand champion at the American Bass Anglers Barbecue Tour in Anderson, South Carolina. It is none other than Tim Pattan of PD River Swamp Sauce. Timmy, how are you tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great. Greg, how about you, man?
I am doing spectacular. Tim, look, the thing that is pressing the most here is are people just afraid to call into the 4-segment free-for-all because they don't want to deal with Harry Carey? Or what's your thumbnail sketch on what the deal is?
I think they're scared of you. That's what it is.
Well, I'm not even in the damn room for that segment. What are you talking about? For goodness sake.
Oh, I don't know, man.
All right, so forget about all of that, of course. We're here to talk about you, the Petey River Swamp Sauce, the Swamp Sauce Smokers Competition Cooking Team. And again, this is Tim Pattan. You can find him on the web at swampsauce.com. Tim, you obviously a competitor. You like to get out on the circuit every now and again. So to pull away with a grand championship especially at the American Bass Anglers Barbecue Tour, which is through secret circles of secretness, is looking to really get a whole barbecue thing going. What they've done for this bass fishing thing, they potentially would maybe want to be doing for this barbecue thing. Again, it was Anderson, South Carolina. You win out of 24 teams, you take away grand championships. So, in an overall sense, how did the competition set up for you? Obviously, the results say it went fine, but how do you feel it went overall?
Overall, I was real happy with everything I turned in. The chicken was my worst score category, and it was probably my, I was least happy with that, but that was a goofball mistake by me. I'm usually dead on with my chicken. Everything was going good, and I was scheduled for a 12 o'clock turn in, and then my neighbor comes over and says, chicken is at 11:30 this time, right? And I hope not. And then my mom and dad went with me, and my mom got out the little schedule and said, yes, it is. So I had to crank up the heat a little bit to get it done. Got it done. It was actually really, really good. I was real happy with it turned out, considering what I had to do, but it wasn't my best. But the ribs, I was thrilled to death with those. And pork and brisket were, really good. The pork was good. I finished third with that.
You won the rib category. I mean, you felt good about the wins, but you won it.
I did win it. That's right. Yeah, I was. My mom, she's the official taste tester, and I gave her a little sliver, and she's like, they're really good. I said, well, and I said, are you being my mom, or are you being, are you just telling me that because you're my mom, or are they really good? She said, no, they're really good. I said, okay. So turn them in, and I prepare 6 for the turn in. Well, 8 in case I mess one up. I've got 2 extras. Put the 6 in the box, send it on. Got the pork going, and then I had the 2 extra ribs kind of wrapped up in foil, and they probably set like 15 minutes, so they weren't hot. They were, they cooled down quite a bit, and I took a bite, and I was like, man, the ribs are where they're supposed to be. So I was real happy with that. But overall, it was really good, and the folks with ABA, they put on a really good show. They're by all the time, checking on you need anything. The only thing they didn't do was tell me that, or remind me, kick me in the butt and tell me that chicken was at 11:30, or everything was 30 minutes early actually. But that was my fault. I just, I assumed, and you know what happens when you assume.
No, what happens?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, the worst thing is, if I would have, my neighbor was Bare Bones Barbecue out of Greenwood, South Carolina. If he came over and said something about chicken, at 12 o'clock, I would have went down with chicken.
Yeah.
Of course, that would have been time for ribs. So not only would I have, I'd have been late for chicken, I'd have been late for ribs. It just would have, you'd have gone from, hero to zero in a blink of an eye. So it was really, that's one of the goofiest, stupidest mistakes I've ever made.
Well,
but luckily I came over.
Those are the ones that always get you, the small ones that you're going to be overlooking. Now, in regards to the ABA, so they put on a very good competition. You were out there. You hear any rumblings about those guys trying to start some type of extra faction of competition barbecue where they're going to take their own tour out and see what happens with that?
I haven't heard anything. I heard them talking. That already they have a national sponsor with Early Times Whiskey, which is, I think that's a pretty big coup. The ABA itself is a huge organization. I never realized how big it was until I cooked their first event of the year down in Gainesville, Georgia, and the lady said, I was asking her about the association and all, and she's like, yeah, we're really big. So we just bought BASS, BASS, Bass Angler Sportsman Society. Oh. And, the first thing that popped in my head is everybody knows what bass is, but nobody knows who ABA is. But ABA is big enough to buy bass, so it's a big, it's a big company. But, that they were talking about, having some stuff next year, but the way they made it sound to me is that they're not necessarily going to pull away from KCBS, or start their own deal. But, that they got some big stuff in the works. They're waiting on sponsorships and stuff for next year. And I think he said possibly a $100,000 contest coming up next year. So
$100,000 contest don't suck, do they?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, they've got the pull with the sponsors to get the sponsors. So, I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, they're really nice folks, really good folks, and so I can't wait to see what they do pull out of the hat.
Talking with Tim Pattan, he is the chief pitmaster of Swamp Sauce Cooking Team, also the owner-creator of Petey River Swamp Sauce. You can find him at swampsauce.com. So, Tim, kind of rolling back the clock a little bit, you got into the sauce business, which we'll talk about here in just a few minutes, but how long have you actually been competing?
The first contest I did was in 2004. I did one contest that year. 2005, I did 3. So, I'm still a part-time cook. I mean, to me, I've got on my schedule 5 contests for this year. Might do 6, or I might drop one and add another. But I don't go out every week. I don't go out every other week. I'll just here and there. Just go. So technically, 2006, I think that was my busiest year. I might have done 8 contests that year. Didn't do any in 2007. We had our 3rd kid that year, and it's kind of hard to leave mom at home with a baby and
right.
2 big kids. So I'm just a part-time dude.
So was the sauce first and then competition, or were you competing first and then the sauce was something altogether separate?
The sauce was first. The sauce was really just for home. You've been in the Carolinas. We're proud of our pig pickings. We have pig pickings here, and that's what I made the sauce for. I made it for the pig pickings here at home, and of course everybody, anybody that makes something, your friends will tell you how great it is. Oh, you have to sell it. You have to sell it. So I was young enough and I guess crazy enough to say, all right, well, I want to do it, and luckily it's worked out really good. I mean, I never would have dreamed it would be what it is right now. And the competition just came about really, I had a sauce and, I was doing okay and watching the Food Network, seeing the competitions on TV and, I'll try one of those, So the first contest I ever did was in Hickory, North Carolina. There was 50 some odd teams. I think there was 58 teams. I finished 28, and my neighbor at that contest, or one of my neighbors, was Bad Byron from Byron's Butt Rub.
Yeah.
And he was extremely nice guy, nicest, one of the nicest fellas you ever want to meet. And he, he didn't tell me anything. He just talked about the sport. Really, he was a good ambassador for the sport. And then afterwards, they came over there, and I finished 28. And I was a little down, depressed, and I think he finished like 3rd or 2nd or something like that. And he said, well, how'd you finish? I said, 28, just kind of hung my head. He said, daggone, man, your first competition, you beat 30 teams. So, he kind of turned it around, put a different spin on it, and so made me want to try it again. And then, of course, the 3rd time that I cooked, I finished 3rd overall. And
sold from there, right? No doubt.
Yep. I was hooked from then on, yeah. So it's been a lot of fun, Of course, everybody talks about the people you meet and everything, and which is true. But the competition part of it, I think, is probably my favorite part.
So what kind of a cooker are you using out there in the competitions?
This is the first year that I've ever used 2 cookers. I've always had 1 cooker. I've got a Superior smoker, which is, I guess, similar to the stump smoker. Everybody would know what a stump is. It's similar to those. It's insulated. You can't say what, but anyway, load of charcoal and shoot, and then it goes down and burns. And I cook my briskets and I cook my butts in that. And then I've got an FEC 100, and I cook the ribs and chicken in that. So,
the FE cooker was the one you've been using right along all by itself there for a long time?
Well, I started out with an Austin National Smoker, a rotisserie, charcoal, and I used that. And then last year I used the FE for a little bit. The year before. I'm all confused now. But yeah, I used the FE for a year in competition. I sold it, bought the Superior, and I couldn't. It's not the cooker, it's me. I really couldn't get a grasp. You cook all your meat, and everything is done but the chicken, and then you ramp up the temperature for the chicken, and I never could get a I couldn't get it dialed in. I'd either go too far with the temperature, or I wouldn't get it hot enough for the temperature, and it kind of suffered a little bit. I did get a grand championship last year with nothing but the spear, so I did get it figured out a little bit, but it was easier. So the guy I sold the FE to, he bought a backwoods, and so he put the FE up for sale, so I bought it back from him, and now, so now I'm happy. I've got everything that I want, and they're both great cookers. They're both different, but they're both great, and I can do really good with both of them. So.
Tim Pattan from PD River Swamp Sauce joining us here, Barbecue Central Show After Dark. Tim, and you're probably more like the majority of competition cooks out there. You're not doing 30, 40 competitions a year. You're doing, a small handful. So, in your estimate, and you've done very well. Obviously, I track your progress through the forum, and obviously we have somewhat of a weird relationship outside of this radio show. So, you hear a lot of people talk about flavor profile. And then, of course, the next thing you hear out of the seasoned cook's process or mouth is that you need to perfect the cooking process. You need to know how to cook it right before you need to even worry about the flavor profile part. So let's assume that I do have the cooking part down. How does one actually go about figuring out what kind of a flavor profile they should use? How do you make it your own?
Man, that's hard. I think... my flavor profile, I think, really kind of reflects the Carolinas or the Southeast. I think if I went to, say, Kansas City and done a contest out there, I would probably do really bad because I'm not super thick, super sweet, sauces with, caked in brown sugar and all that. I'm not that. So, I think it's just really where you come from. The stuff, they're absolutely right. The first thing you got to do is learn how to cook. You've got to have moist, tender, you've got to have that part right. And then, just figure out what tastes good to you, which is exactly what me and my wife did. We tried different rubs and different, combinations. I always use my sauce. I use my sauce, chicken ribs, or chicken ribs and pork. I do not sauce my brisket. So it's just, I use a different rub on all four things, but everything just complements each other. The sauce goes good with the rub, and the sauce and the rub go good with the chicken, with the ribs and stuff like that. And, and I've been real fortunate. My first win was in 06, and I have not changed rubs since probably 06. But before that, I tried 2 or 3 different things. And, I've experimented at home trying to improve upon, the taste. But, I'll cook the regular chicken and I'll use a different rub on the chicken, and which one is better, I always go back to that one. It's just, it's what's turned out good at home luckily has turned in good, with the judges in the competition.
Is the rub something that you make at home, or are you using a commercial brand?
I use a commercial brand. I've always, when I first started, I tried, I found some recipes and stuff online. The sport and the internet actually, have changed so much in 4 years. 4 years ago, there was very limited, I don't even know if anybody 4 years ago was doing a school, a cooking school on competition. But if there were, maybe, 1 or 2 folks. But, the information was so limited. And I found 1 or 2 recipes, for this or that, and I tried them. They were okay, but I felt like that every time I made it, it was different. And I knew way back then that if you're going to do good, you got to be consistent. So I started buying my rubs, and and everything that I bought, I tried to buy local, instead of ordering offline. They're just regular rubs that are in the grocery store.
Who do you use?
On what?
Whatever, I guess.
Man. Oh, man, I ain't going to tell you that now.
What do you think? You're some big shot on the Barbecue Central Roundtable show, you schmuck? Give it up.
I do use PD River Swamp Sauce. How's that?
Oh, great. Now you just blew my last question. I was just going to ask if you use PD River Swamp Sauce at actual competition.
I most certainly do.
Yeah.
like I said, I use chicken ribs and then pork, brisket that goes unsauced, and the only reason, I just I don't know if it's right or wrong, but brisket. My brisket's pretty good. The last time I cooked it, I was I forget. I've had top fives. I haven't won. Brisket is the only category that I haven't had a first place finish in. The highest finish I've ever had a brisket was third, and I've had 2 or 3 of those, and so that's my Achilles heel. But I just I don't know, if my sauce don't work good on it, I'm not going to buy your sauce and put on there. So
there you go. Now, mentioned earlier, you're the creator of the PD River Swamp Sauce. Again, we're talking with Tim Pattan. SwampSauce.com is the website. Tim has been a gracious giveaway sponsor on the show for some time now, pretty much since the show was started almost.
Yeah, back then, folks used to call in and actually win stuff.
Oh, what? Son of a...
That was not a poke at the folks who are giving this stuff away. That was a poke at you. I'm sorry.
There you go. Yeah, I believe me. I know where the poke was going. So now, again, when did you start making the sauce?
Probably, let's see. I'm getting old. Let me back up. 04. I think the first time we actually put it in a bottle was 04. So probably 3 years before that, 2000, 2001, is when I first started trying to make it at home. And it took a couple of years, to figure out. I knew in my head, I had a taste, and I just had it in my head of what I wanted to taste, and just throwing stuff in a pot. I didn't take another sauce and doctor it. I started with ketchup and vinegar and mustard and, of course, spices and just, I started throwing stuff in a pot, and it took 2 years. And then, seriously, one day I threw something in there, and that's what I'm looking for right there. And so I just went, I had the basic recipe. So then I went and kind of got scientific with it. Then, I added more salt, added less salt, added more of this, added more of that, and, see which way it was. And by the time I got through, I was almost exactly as I was that day, when I first hit it. So the only thing that I changed a little bit was back then I had a little bit of red wine vinegar, and I had to back off the rib because it was a little bit too tart. But that's the only change I think I really made from what's in the bottle to what what I made back then.
So as a retailer, what kind of a percentages are you looking at? Obviously, you have an online presence. No doubt this show has increased your sales by at least 1 or 2%. And you're in retail stores out there in your neck of the woods as well. Is the bulk of your sales going through brick and mortar, or is it online? Oh, yeah, it's definitely the grocery stores, in and around this area. The majority. I can't play with the big boys. The humongous chains. I don't have enough money and enough of an advertising budget really for them to take me in. But the smaller hometown stores who get their groceries from this distributor or that distributor, I can play with those, and that's where it is. I actually had I sold a case. Let me think. Just today, probably about once a week. I probably sell a case a week through the internet, which is not a lot. So, but it's cool to see where it goes. They go to California. I sent some today to Palo Alto, California. Sent some your neck of the woods somewhere in Ohio. I'm trying to think of. Sent some down to Florida. So I've had it near about all over. So it's. That's the cool part about the internet is to see where it goes. But as far as making money, you don't really make any money with the internet. It's all in your backyard and the grocery stores. So if somebody's not familiar with swamp sauce, I can't imagine who wouldn't be. And you could go to swampsauce.com to pick your own up, for crying out loud. But if somebody's not familiar with swamp sauce, go ahead and kind of describe what the sauce tastes like.
Well, the sauce is, the first question everybody asks, well, is it a vinegar base, is it a tomato base, or what? And the best way I describe it is where I live. I live in Rockingham, North Carolina, and everybody's familiar with the eastern part of North Carolina's vinegar. The western part is tomato. Well, I live in almost the geographical center of North Carolina, so I have both sides, kind of tugging at me. And then if you throw South Carolina, which Rockingham is on the border, I mean, I'm 12 miles from the North-South Carolina border. South Carolina's famous for their mustard sauce. And, of course, I grew up on all three of them, so what I did is I just put them all in a pot. And, so the base of my sauce is vinegar, tomato, and mustard, so which kind of makes it kind of a unique, kind of different than most sauces. It's a little bit thin. It's not, like I said, it's not a real thick, super-duper sweet, typical Kansas City or Kraft, barbecue sauce. It's got a little bit of spice. It don't have a lot of heat, or I don't think it does. I think it's spicy, but it don't have a lot of heat. It's just it's a good all-around, it does really good in competition.
Yeah, I think, from somebody like myself who has had a number of cases now into my stomach over the course of the last year or two, certainly something that is definitely out of the ordinary. And, the first taste might catch you off guard just because it's not the same old crap that you're used to getting or being force-fed by, all these store chains and a lot of the mass-market barbecue stores and whatnot. But once you get through the first taste and realize that the complex flavor is there to complement a number of meats, which is great because you want a sauce that, isn't... I don't want something that's only going to be good on one thing. I want something that's going to go just as well on chicken as it is on pork as it's going to be on beef. So I think your sauce does that very well. And again, it's swampsauce.com is the website to check that out. Let's talk about one thing. Liquid smoke, because it seems to me that it's a very prevalent ingredient in a number of sauces that are out there, whether you're at a barbecue restaurant or whether you're shopping through your grocery store aisle in the barbecue sauce place. You pick it up, inevitably you're either going to see the term liquid smoke or smoke flavoring, which is even like more of a lie to me as far as I'm concerned. It's not in yours. Why you leave it out, and why do you think so many people use it? Because it's crap, in my opinion.
Right. The reason I left it out, that's kind of a hard question. I've never used it. I've never bought it. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't taste like smoke. It's kind of got a, if you use it, it's very overbearing. It's very overpowering of everything else. You don't taste anything, but the liquid smoke. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I made mine, because half of them in the store have that, and I didn't like it, so, of course, since I didn't like it in their sauces, I had no, intentions whatsoever of putting it in mine. Why people use it, I mean, I understand why they use it, because they don't use a smoker to cook. They use, they're either using an electric, they're either cooking in the oven, so, I mean, and the smoke flavor, smoke goes with barbecue, smoke goes with pork. But if they don't use it in the cooking process, then they try to, cheat and add it in the end. And, of course, to me, it doesn't work.
I agree. It's the most horrific thing ever made. And whoever came up with it should be shot if they're not dead already, in my opinion.
I agree 100%.
There you go. Tim Pattan from Petey River Swamp Sauce joining us. Tim, anything new coming down the pike from Swamp Sauce that we should be aware of?
Well, I've got something. It's in the works. I was hoping to have it done by now. It's just... I don't know. Yeah, probably more being lazy than anything. I've got another sauce. I've got everything together except the marketing, and which to me, and what I'm doing, which is trying to sell it in this area. I mean, I hope everybody listening, all five. I hope I sell 5 bottles tomorrow. It's just
5 people. You're dreaming. You mean 2 people?
2 people. No, but I mean, really, I hope. But I mean, that's my core. Is where I live. In South Carolina, North Carolina. And I'm really working. I don't want to. I could just put it out there. I mean, I've got it now. Where I could just put it out there. But I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that if I want to invest the money, that at least I want to get that back. And I want it to be. I want it to follow Petey River Swamp Sauce, but it is different. So, but I want to play off of Petey River Swamp Sauce, but at the same time show that it's different. So I'm trying to make sure that I get everything right, and some of that's been a little frustrating, and I've hit a dead end here or yonder, or, well, this costs too much money to do that. Well, what's another option? Stuff like that. So, but hopefully, end of the summer, at least by September, I think I'll have something at your front door with the UPS man, and you can have something new to talk about.
Oh, absolutely excited for that. Tim, before I let you go, Central Light's always looking for a deal. Do you feel like springing anything spectacular on us tonight?
Well, let's see. I'm trying to figure out. So my wife handles all of the internet sales stuff. I'm trying to figure out how they can do it to let me know that they're Barbecue Central. If you buy one, you get one free. Actually, if you go to my website, I think you have to buy 2 bottles. If you buy 2 bottles through my website, I'll send one free.
Ooh.
And somehow or another, whether it's where you put your address or put your name, something, if you put Barbecue Central or Greg Rempe or, something like that.
King of Barbecue Media.
Something along those lines. Just let me know you heard it, for the next week. I'll throw an extra bottle in, and we'll be happy to do that.
All right, buy 2, get 1 free, and mention some reference of the show. I'll figure out how to do that in the post-show notes for the people that get it and download, aren't listening live here tonight. So we will do that. Tim Pattan owns Petey River Swamp Sauce. And by the way, just won the Grand Championship at the American Bass Anglers Competition this past weekend in Anderson, South Carolina. Tim, appreciate you coming on tonight. Thanks for doing it, and let's do it again soon.
Well, Greg, I appreciate you having me, man. It's a lot of fun to actually talk to you and not text and cuss each other.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'll take you at your word, Tim. All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
All right, buddy.
Man, if you people could only read the salacious messages that we pass back, you wouldn't think that would even be the same guy that was talking on the other line. Outrageous. Tim Pattan, Petey River Swamp Sauce. Buy 2, get 1 free. Tradio. Buy 2, get 1 free. And again, it's swampsauce.com. Go to swampsauce.com, buy 2, get 1 free, and then just go ahead and when you're checking out, reference the show, radio, barbecue radio, king of all barbecue media, whatever. And I will put the link up in the post show notes as well. So there you go. What do you think about that? Tim Pattan from Petey River Swamp Sauce. Wait, before I go, I'm going to hang out for a couple minutes. If you just want to win, no need to play any game shows or anything like that. If you just want to win some cool free stuff, go ahead and call in right now, 877-448-0433, 877-448-0433, and we will get you taken care of. What do we have? We have the Cosmos Q injection pack, which gives you the beef and the pork injections, plus you get that chicken soak sampler as well. That's always one of the most sought-after prizes here on the Barbecue Central radio show. You have the frog mats, which are available. These work especially well with the delicate items like fish. Maybe you have some vegetables that you're going to be smoking, dehydrating, whatever. Jerky works great on jerky. Works great for the bacon explosions as well. Again, those are frog mats. Frogmats.com is the website. You have the green leaf, the wine-infused oak wood. And they take this oak wood and they fuse it with wine, and you get a very unique flavor when you want to burn. So that's greenleafbbq.com is the website if you want to find out more about that. And then, of course, we have the T-shirts from Whiskey Bent Barbecue and from Durag Q as well. That's the Early Times, which happens to be a sponsor of the American Bass Anglers, if you were paying any attention to Tim Pattan. I know most of you dozed off. That's all right. 877-448-0433. All you have to do is just call in and tell me what you want, and I will get you going. How about that? It doesn't get any better than that. Don't want to play 4-segment free-for-all? That's all right. No reason to play 4-segment free-for-all when you can just call in and win after dark. What's better than that? I don't know. Not much. Free stuff. Email address is bbqcentralradio@gmail.com. Again, I wanted to remind you of the contest that's running right now on the Facebook page. If you want to win a grill plate. And again, the grill plate is very cool. It's this stainless steel unit, if you're not going to go right to grillinnovations.com to check it out. But it's this stainless steel plate that goes on your gas grill, and it effectively turns that gas grill into an outdoor oven. So, when it's really hot out during those summer days, and look, we're in the warmer time of the year, we're at least getting into the warmer time of the year, what's the last thing you want to do when you're ready to eat is turn on an oven, man. It's like the worst. It's 90 degrees outside, the air conditioner's struggling, and you're just going to turn on a heater in your kitchen to heat the rest of the house up. I mean, take it outside, for crying out loud. Get it out of the house. That's what the grill plate allows you to do. I've been testing it out diligently over the past week, and it's really worked out well. What it's also caused me to find out is the fact that my temperature control on my Weber gas grill isn't as keen as I thought it was. But after a couple cooks, and I've really kind of gone out of the box. I've done cookies. You have to start with a clean grill. Proper grill maintenance is key. If you have stuff that is charred on and chunked on to your grill grate and you fire it up, and then you slap the grill grate down and put on some cookies, and you have burnt on fish kebabs, your cookies are going to suck pretty much because they're going to take on the fish smell. But if you do proper grill maintenance, as we know, as Steven Reichlin said in the After Dark show open, keep it clean, keep it hot, keep it lubricated. We're talking about the grill still. Then you're not going to have any issues. No white smoke coming out means probably clean, or it's not on, so you better check your gas. But this thing works very, very well. All right, let's get a winner. Barbecue Central show. Name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Greg, it's Bob out there in Gold Bar, Washington.
Bob from Gold Bar, Washington. Bob. What's up, man? Long time no talk.
Hey, for sure. Too long, but, no talk, but I listen.
Hey, that's all that counts for me, right? It's all about the ratings.
Right on, and they ought to be up there, and I trust they are.
Oh, with help from guys like you, Bob, and it certainly doesn't go unnoticed, and I appreciate the little spurt outs that you do every Tuesday for me, kind of re-corresponding the Barbecue Central Show newsletter. So let's go ahead and hook you up with the prize, Bob. I've listed them out. What would you like to get your mitts on tonight?
That Cosmo. I drove for the Cosmo Q.
All right, Cosmo's Q. You know the drill, Bob. All you have to do is send me your shipping info, and I'll shoot that down to our first segment guest tonight, and he'll get you hooked right up.
That I will, Greg. Thank you. Hey, I remember the very first show, too, and you've done an outstanding job. Well, it's just growing and getting better and better all the time. Just keep it up.
Well, I certainly appreciate the kind words, Bob. Thanks for calling in tonight. There he is, Bob from Gold. And he remembers, let me tell you, oh, man, that's what I got to do. That's what I got to do. Bob remembers the first live show. Bob might even remember the first podcast from like, can I say Ot 6? Is that right? 07, 06, 05, maybe? Hard to tell. And all those are on iTunes. You have the Barbecue Central radio show archives, which is on iTunes. And then you have the one where it's still me, but it's got that character guy. He's holding a smoker and a computer keyboard. I can go into a whole dissertation about how I came up with that, but that's neither here nor there. And there's a good handful of podcasts there as well. And that was when the show was just a podcast only. It was all pre-recorded stuff, heavily edited. Not like the show is right now, live show for 1+ hours. But the very first podcast I ever did, I actually played when my parents were up here the last time during the Thanksgiving time. And man, what a tragic nightmare that was. So I think for an After Dark, if you want to hear how the show has progressed, you'll listen to the live portion, the 9 to 10 show, and hear the regular gimmick that I do. And then for the special this week on a special After Dark, I'll play the very first podcast. I think it was like 15 or 16 minutes, and that'll be the show. I'll play the very first podcast I ever did. Odds are even that you will not even believe that I'm the same guy that's doing that show, or that's doing this show that was doing that show back then. It is, dare I say, horrific. Dare I say, tragic. Might I say, almost unlistenable? Yeah, I think so. So there you go. All right. Thanks to Bob for calling in. Bob likes free stuff. Nobody else likes free stuff? Shame on you. Thanks to Tim Pattan from PD River Swamp Sauce. Again, he's offering a special here for the next week. Buy 2 bottles of swamp sauce, get 1 free. Just mention the show somewhere. Mention the show. Radio, BBQ Central, BBQ Central Show, BBQ Central Radio Show. Say it like this.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. I can't even do it like that, guy. Do it again, guy.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show.
Yeah. Big voice guy. Swampsauce.com to hook up with that. And again, that's good for a week. So thanks to Tim Patton for coming on. Again, thanks to Darian Khosravi from Cosmos Q, first hour. Kelly Strobel from Christie's Foundation, first hour as well. We'll see you back here next week where we will reacquaint with the good doctor of barbecue, Ray Lampe. Also, after dark, scheduled TV star darling of the barbecue world, Harry Sue from Slap Yo Daddy Barbecue, bitches. So stay tuned for that. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.